Hi yogis, welcome back. This is our continued conversation from the Yoga Asana section. We're going to talk about a couple of inversions now. Inversions are active reversal. Viparita Karani is the Sanskrit word. You'll often hear teachers suggest Viparita Karani, which we interpret to legs up the wall, but it translates roughly to active reversal. So you're getting upside down. You're getting your feet above your head. And inversions, they'll build strength, they will improve elasticity in your whole body, and the idea is that this strength and elasticity is endorsed through optimistic movement. So you're getting upside down. It's an unusual place to be. We walk around on our feet most of the time. And so you get upside down on the yoga mat to promote this strength and elasticity. And you also, a byproduct is it also encourages good posture. It defies hunching. So you can't, your posture needs to be almost perfect when you're upside down to support the weight of your lower body. And then as a result, defying the hunching will promote better digestion, better circulation, and better breathing. It's also playful. So it's fun to get upside down. It's fun to try. It's playful to fall over. So the power of inversions, there's this power of play, power of strength, and finally the power of concentration. You have to have all of your attention on the pose when you're trying to do shoulder stand or headstand because they are difficult. The four poses that we're going to go over right now are Sarvangasana, shoulder stand, Halasana, plow pose, Sirsasana, headstand, and Balasana, child's pose. We'll start with Sarvangasana, shoulder stand. Sarvangasana is the queen of yoga poses. Sirsasana is the king of yoga poses, but Space Man is here too. He's always here by my side. Sarvangasana is the queen of yoga poses because it demands acute concentration to do it. It demands practice to get there, and it's a sequence of patience. It takes time and devotion to be able to do a shoulder stand. So the whole practice of yoga embodied in two poses, the king and the queen of yoga, Sarvangasana and Sirsasana. So for Sarvangasana, for shoulder stand, I'm going to show you a propped version with a blanket. Any blanket will do. And I have it folded so that it's maybe 1.5 inches thick, and it's going to come right where your dog is lying. Up you get. All right, well, you're gonna get kicked. So your blanket is gonna come about 3/4 of the way down the mat, and you're gonna line the top of your shoulder blades up with the blanket. I'll show you in a moment. You're going to lie down so that your head is off the blanket. So the way to remember, the blanket's not a pillow. The blanket goes underneath your shoulder blades. Sometimes when I teach this, students use it as a pillow, which will have the opposite effect. Lie yourself down. We'll see what happens here with the dog in the way. All right, so your shoulder blades, the tops of your shoulder blades are lined up with the tops of your mat, and you're going to lift yourself up, lift your legs up and over your head, tuck your knees in towards your chest, and then extend your feet up and away from your face, shoulder stand. So you can see the blanket is there just to create a little bit more space for my neck. So you point your toes as far away from your face as you can, and then you are here in active reversal, endorsing good posture, maybe reducing swelling in your lower limbs, and above all, concentrating acutely on staying present with the pose. So you'll see that I'm in sort of a supported shoulder stand. I don't quite lift up into the full version of the pose. Sometimes I do, but not today. Not that often. But the supported version, your hands stay on your low back, and it just helps to support the weight of your hips. Point your toes, squeeze your calves towards each other, and then stay a while. So the benefit of inversions is staying upside down for a while. We'll stay for 10. And while we stay up here, you can add on, you could lower one leg to parallel with the floor.
And then lower the other leg. You could rock your hips from side to side. Keep your toes pointed. You could bend your knees. So you could come into full lotus. I do not. I just cross at my ankles and then point your knees up towards the ceiling. Extend your legs back up. Point your toes. A couple more breaths. 5 more breaths. Inhale. Exhale, 5. Inhale. Exhale, 4. Inhale. Exhale, 3. The yoga begins when you want to exit the pose. So, except for acute pain you would exit right away. But with the exception of acute pain, if there's just slight discomfort or maybe a concentration game, you just don't feel like being here anymore, the yoga, the real power, the discipline, it begins when you feel like leaving the pose and you stay a little bit longer. You hold yourself accountable to your practice. Just take one more breath in and then lower to plow. So legs together. Now touch down above your head, clasp your hands, point your knuckles away from you. Legs are as straight as they can be, and it's always different every day. Like I said, these are practices of patience, discipline, steady output of effort. Stay in plow. The Ashtangis will tell you to stay in plow for half the time that you were in shoulder stand. So that's about 5 breaths. Take 3 more. Stay here, but if you absolutely can't reach your feet down and onto the mat, you can use a couple props. So I have 2 blue blocks here, and they can be set up at the top of the mat. You have to kind of figure out where your feet are going to land. And as always, the props are just this strategy to lift the mat up to you. I think that's about where my feet will land. You're never quite sure because you're upside down, but lie yourself back down and then lift yourself back into shoulder stand and into plow. This is also a great, if you're teaching this pose, this is a great thing that you can do for your students. You can bring the prop around for them if you see that their feet aren't touching down on the mat. It just gives them a little bit more space to get their hips a little bit higher, to get that straight spine. And then lower yourself down and out of shoulder stand, out of plow. Lay there for a moment, yogis. Take a breath in, breath out. It's important to recover after that active reversal. Inversions are highly beneficial, but extremely challenging. So give yourself time to recover. The next pose that we'll practice is shoulder stand or headstand, Sirsasana. As I said, shoulder stand, Sarvangasana is the queen of yoga poses, Sirsasana headstand, the king, because it exemplifies practice, patience, discipline, steady output of effort, all these qualities that you cultivate on the yoga mat. You come to your mat day after day, regardless of whether you want to or not. And it's that steady output of effort that really reaps the benefits of the practice, just like headstand. So you'll measure out your elbows. Measure out your elbows. And don't let your elbows splay out any wider than the width of that measurement. Set them down. I set up a blanket just because I like the extra cushioning for the top of my head. Make a little basket for your head. It's just a step-by-step process. Start by walking your feet in towards your face. Crown of your head on the mat, press into your elbows, bend your knees to your chest. It is a practice. So don't practice headstand against the wall, as tempting as it is. It's just, it's too tempting to fling yourself up into headstand if you practice against the wall. And it really is about core strength and this steady output of practice, of effort. Headstand really shouldn't be practiced casually. It's just too risky to injure yourself. So you just a little bit at a time, maybe only a couple moments each day. We'll try one more time. It's always a practice for me. Some days I have it, some days I don't. And then the final pose in the inversion sequence is child's pose. Just like with shoulder stand, it's this big effort to do these inversions, and you restore the vital energy after the active reversal. Child's pose is highly restorative. You're tucked in to this introspective shape, letting the mat support all your weight. Balasana. If you need a prop for Balasana, if it doesn't feel like you're restoring vital energy because it's really painful, roll your blanket up. You can double it up. It's going to come in between your calves and your knees. Something to sit on so your knees aren't bent quite as deeply. And then you can set up these props so that your forehead doesn't have to come all the way down to the mat. And you're still benefiting from being fully supported and being tucked in to this cozy little shape, Balasana. Come on up. Inversions, the power of play, the power of strength, and the power of concentration. Thank you for practicing yoga with me. Namaste, yogis. Until we meet again.